The 21st century has been a tumultuous period, filled with events that have reshaped the geopolitical landscape and influenced global relations in ways we are still grappling with today. From the rise of new powers to the resurgence of old conflicts, understanding these pivotal moments is crucial for anyone seeking to make sense of today's world. In this video, we will explore the top 10 geopolitical events that shaped the 21st century. These events, ranging from devastating terrorist attacks to economic upheavals, have left indelible marks on nations and communities alike. Let's embark on this journey through history and uncover how these moments continue to resonate today. Body number 10. The September 11th Attacks, 2001. On September 11, 2001, a series of coordinated terrorist attacks orchestrated by the extremist group Al-Qaeda struck the United States. The attacks resulted in the destruction of the World Trade Center's Twin Towers and significant damage to the Pentagon, claiming nearly 3,000 lives in the process. Impact: U.S. foreign policy shift. The September 11th attacks fundamentally changed U.S. foreign policy and global security measures. In response, the U.S. launched the War on Terror, initiating military operations in Afghanistan aimed at dismantling Al-Qaeda and removing the Taliban from power. This led to prolonged conflicts that continue to affect the region and the world. The aftermath also included heightened security protocols, the establishment of the Department of Homeland Security, and the implementation of the Patriot Act, which raised concerns over civil liberties and privacy rights. Global security changes. Moreover, the attacks prompted an era of increased surveillance and intelligence sharing among nations, fundamentally altering how countries approach national security. The long-term impact on international relations is profound, as countries began to align or oppose the U.S. in the ongoing battle against terrorism, setting the stage for geopolitical tensions that persist today. Number 9. The Iraq War, 2003. The Iraq War began on March 20, 2003, when the United States, along with a coalition of allies, invaded Iraq. Citing the need to eliminate weapons of mass destruction, WMDs, and to depose President Saddam Hussein, the invasion quickly toppled the Iraqi government. Impact: post-war chaos. While the initial military campaign was swift, the aftermath proved disastrous. The lack of planning for post-war Iraq led to chaos, sectarian violence, and the rise of insurgency groups. This instability created a vacuum that facilitated the emergence of extremist organizations, most notably ISIS, which would go on to control significant portions of Iraq and Syria. Global repercussions. The Iraq War profoundly affected U.S. relations with its allies and adversaries. It prompted widespread protests, heightened anti-American sentiment, and led to a significant re-evaluation of military interventionism in U.S. foreign policy. The consequences of the war continue to be felt in the region, influencing geopolitical dynamics and shaping discussions about U.S. military presence overseas. Number 8. The Global Financial Crisis, 2007 to 2008. The global financial crisis originated in the U.S. housing market, where widespread mortgage defaults triggered a financial meltdown. Major financial institutions collapsed, leading to a credit crisis that affected economies around the world. The crisis culminated in the bankruptcy of Lehman Brothers in September 2008. Impact: global recession. The financial crisis led to a severe recession, resulting in millions of job losses and significant declines in housing prices and consumer wealth. Governments worldwide responded with massive bailouts of financial institutions and stimulus packages to revive their economies. In the U.S., the Troubled Asset Relief Program, TARP, allocated $700 billion to stabilize the financial system. Regulatory reforms. The crisis prompted a re-evaluation of regulatory frameworks, leading to reforms such as the Dodd-Frank Act in the U.S., which aimed to prevent future financial crises by increasing oversight of financial institutions. Additionally, the crisis fueled debates about capitalism, inequality, and the role of government in economic intervention. The political fallout contributed to a rise in populism and anti-establishment movements across the globe. Number 7. The Arab Spring, 2010 to 2011. The Arab Spring was a series of protests and uprisings that swept across the Arab world, beginning in Tunisia in December 2010 and spreading to countries like Egypt, Libya, Syria, and Yemen. Citizens demanded political reforms, an end to authoritarian rule, and improved economic conditions. Impact, transition, and turmoil. While some countries, such as Tunisia, saw successful transitions to democracy, others descended into chaos and civil war. The Syrian civil war, in particular, has had devastating humanitarian consequences, resulting in millions of deaths and displacements. The Arab Spring highlighted the struggles for democracy and human rights in the region, raising questions about U.S. foreign policy towards authoritarian regimes. Power vacuums and extremism. The aftermath of the Arab Spring led to a power vacuum in many nations, exacerbating sectarian tensions and giving rise to extremist groups. The conflict in Syria, for example, has drawn in multiple foreign powers, complicating an already intricate geopolitical landscape. The events of the Arab Spring continue to shape regional politics and influence global perceptions of the Arab world. Number 6. Russia's annexation of Crimea, 2014. In 2014, following Ukraine's Euromaidan protests and the ousting of pro-Russian President Viktor Yanukovych, Russia annexed Crimea, a move widely condemned by the international community. The annexation was followed by a conflict in eastern Ukraine, where pro-Russian separatists declared independence. Impact: Crimea's annexation and East-West tensions. The annexation of Crimea marked a significant deterioration in East-West relations, reviving Cold War-era tensions. In response, the U.S. and the European Union imposed sanctions on Russia, targeting its economy and key individuals. NATO increased its military presence in Eastern Europe, heightening concerns about regional security, sovereignty, law, and global impact. The events in Ukraine have raised critical discussions about national sovereignty and territorial integrity, as well as the effectiveness of international law in preventing aggression. The situation remains unresolved, and the geopolitical implications of Russia's actions continue to reverberate throughout Europe and beyond. Number 5. The rise of China, 2000s present. Since the early 2000s, China has experienced unprecedented economic growth, transforming into a global superpower. The Belt and Road Initiative, BRI, launched in 2013, aims to enhance global trade networks and infrastructure, further expanding China's influence. Impact: China's rise and global influence. China's rise has significantly shifted the balance of power in the world. As the world's second-largest economy, it has become a critical player in international trade and politics. The BRI has led to investments in numerous countries, strengthening China's economic ties while raising concerns about debt dependency and sovereignty. U.S.-China rivalry and global tensions. This rise has sparked competition with the United States, particularly in technology and military capabilities. The ongoing trade war, characterized by tariffs and restrictions, reflects the growing tensions between the two nations. Issues like human rights violations, territorial disputes in the South China Sea, and technological espionage have further strained relations, prompting discussions about a new world order where China plays a central role. Number 4. The Syrian Civil War, 2011, present. The Syrian Civil War, which began in 2011, has become one of the most complex conflicts of the 21st century. What started as a peaceful protest against President Bashar al-Assad's regime quickly escalated into a full-scale civil war, drawing in multiple domestic and international actors. Impact: humanitarian crisis and global involvement. The war has resulted in a catastrophic humanitarian crisis, with millions of Syrians displaced internally and as refugees in neighboring countries and Europe. The conflict has drawn in regional powers like Iran and Turkey, as well as global powers such as the US and Russia, complicating efforts for a resolution. Rise of extremist groups and shifts in power. The rise of extremist groups, particularly ISIS, has highlighted the challenges of combating terrorism in a conflict zone. The war has led to significant shifts in regional power dynamics, with Iran solidifying its influence in Syria and the US grappling with its role in the Middle East. The Syrian civil war has reshaped discussions on humanitarian intervention, the responsibilities of the international community, and the long-term implications for Middle Eastern geopolitics. Number 3. Brexit, 2016. In June 2016, the United Kingdom held a referendum in which 52% of voters chose to leave the European Union, marking a historic moment in European integration. The decision was driven by various factors, including concerns over sovereignty, immigration, and economic regulations. Impact. Brexit's impact on the UK and EU. Brexit has had profound implications for the UK and the EU, affecting trade agreements, immigration policies, and the future of European cooperation. The uncertainty surrounding Brexit negotiations led to economic volatility and discussions about the future of the Union itself. Political landscape and nationalism. The political landscape in the UK has also shifted dramatically, with the emergence of new political parties and movements advocating for either a hard or soft Brexit. The event has inspired similar sentiments in other countries, sparking discussions about nationalism and the future of the European project. Brexit represents a critical juncture in the relationship between the UK and Europe, with potential implications for global trade and diplomacy. Number 2. The COVID-19 pandemic, 2020 present. The COVID-19 pandemic, caused by the novel coronavirus, has had a profound impact on global health, economies, and daily life. Emerging in late 2019, the pandemic quickly spread worldwide, leading to widespread illness, death, and disruption. Impact. Pandemic's impact on geopolitics. In terms of geopolitics, the pandemic has reshaped international relations, with nations competing for medical supplies and vaccines. The distribution of vaccines has become a critical geopolitical tool, influencing relationships between countries and international organizations. Global health governance. The pandemic has also accelerated discussions about global health governance, economic resilience, and the need for international cooperation in addressing global crises. Widening inequalities and economic fallout. The economic fallout has exacerbated existing inequalities, with developing nations facing significant challenges in recovery. The pandemic has redefined priorities for many governments, highlighting the importance of public health and preparedness for future global challenges. Number 1. The Russia-Ukraine War, 2022 present. In February 2022, Russia launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine, escalating a conflict that began in 2014 with the annexation of Crimea. The invasion was met with widespread condemnation and led to a significant international response, including sanctions against Russia and military aid for Ukraine. Impact. Geopolitical shift in Europe. The Russia-Ukraine war has reshaped the geopolitical landscape in Europe and beyond. It has reignited discussions about NATO's role, European security, and the balance of power in Eastern Europe. Reassessing defense and energy dependencies. The conflict has prompted European nations to reassess their defense strategies and energy dependencies, particularly regarding Russian oil and gas. Humanitarian and economic fallout. The war has had significant humanitarian consequences, with millions of Ukrainians displaced and severe impacts on civilian infrastructure. The global economy has felt the repercussions, with disruptions to food supply chains, soaring energy prices, and inflation affecting countries worldwide. Democratic values and sovereignty. The invasion has sparked a renewed focus on democratic values and the principles of sovereignty, leading to discussions about collective security and the responsibilities of the international community in defending these ideals. The 21st century has been marked by events that have shaped the world we live in today. From the tragic impacts of terrorism to the rise of new powers and conflicts, understanding these geopolitical events is crucial for navigating the complexities of our global landscape. As we reflect on these moments, we are reminded of the interconnectedness of nations and the importance of diplomacy, cooperation, and mutual understanding. What do you think will be the next major geopolitical event that will shape our future? Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content exploring the intricate tapestry of our world's history.